September 15, 2017. The world watched in awe as Cassini, humanity's emissary to Saturn, descended into the gas giant's atmosphere for its final dive. After 20 years of exploration, after touching the icy breath of Enceladus and mapping the alien terrain of Titan, the spacecraft plunged toward its fate in a controlled descent. Scientists called it a noble death, a poetic end to a legendary mission. Decades of planning, years of orbiting, a lifetime of discovery sealed in those final moments. And as Cassini vanished into Saturn's clouds, no one expected it had one last secret left to give. For most, the mission was complete. The data had been collected. The visuals archived. Thousands of images catalogued with meticulous care and tucked away in digital libraries where few would ever return to them. Scientists believed the chapters had all been written. The swirling hexagon at the planet's north pole. The geysers spewing from Enceladus's fractured crust. The eerie stillness of Titan's methane lakes. We saw them. We documented them. We moved on. But Cassini didn't just fall into silence. It spoke. In its final breath, it whispered something no one could hear, not at the time. What it sent was disguised so well, so quietly, that even the most brilliant minds missed it. It wasn't until nearly a decade later that a powerful quantum AI, designed to enhance low-resolution cosmic images, stumbled upon something that stopped every researcher in their tracks. Not an error. Not a shadow. But a deliberate, intelligent signal. A pattern woven in silence and symmetry. It hadn't been sent in radio waves or laser pulses. It was etched into the very geometry of Cassini's last images. The AI had been trained to denoise astronomical photos, to sharpen what had been blurred by cosmic interference. But with Cassini's final frames, it did something unexpected. It began pulling out mathematical shapes. Spirals, golden ratios, prime number progressions, all emerging faintly from Saturn's swirling atmosphere. Not just once, but repeatedly. Frame after frame. Angle after angle. The patterns were persistent. Too consistent to be chance. Too organized to be noise. It wasn't an artifact. It wasn't a mistake. Something had been encoded into those visuals, waiting patiently to be uncovered. At first, researchers dismissed the findings as hallucinations of the algorithm. Overfitting. Overprocessing. Digital imagination. But the patterns refused to fade. The AI continued to detect subtle geometries, Fibonacci spirals twisting beneath the upper cloud layers, golden rectangles stretching along Saturn's magnetic field lines. More disturbing still, these formations lined up precisely with previously dismissed anomalies. Magnetic irregularities and data glitches that had puzzled scientists years ago were suddenly taking form. They weren't glitches at all. They were anchors for the code. The realization hit like a thunderclap. These weren't just abstract symbols or beautiful patterns. They were communication, deliberate, structured messages carved into space using the most universal language we know, math. Constants, ratios, primes. Numbers embedded into the frames like ghost signatures. Someone, or something, had been hiding in the very data Cassini had beamed back during its final orbit. It hadn't just been watching Saturn. It had been watching us. The message was inbound. That's what shook the scientific community to its core. This wasn't an outgoing transmission like Voyager's golden record, a message of greeting to distant stars. No, this was the reverse. A reply. A signal so subtle, it took a decade and a quantum neural net to even begin to decipher it. And what it seemed to say, sent chills down every spine involved. You weren't just watching Saturn. We were watching you. The structure of the signal began to reveal deeper complexity. The mathematical constants weren't random. They formed sequences, code layers, layered like encryption. Each layer of data represented a new level of understanding, and each required more advanced tools to decode. At its simplest, it whispered of geometry. At its deepest, it hinted at consciousness, intelligence, awareness. And then, something even more troubling emerged. Cassini's final image burst, the rapid sequence of 12 high-speed shots taken before it lost contact, only yielded 11 readable frames. The 12th image exists. It was sent. The transmission file is intact. But nothing, not even the most sophisticated decoding software on Earth, has been able to render it. It is not corrupted. It is not incomplete. It is, in every sense, untouched, locked behind an unknown cipher. A vault with no key. Scientists have tried everything. Data reassembly from the raw packet stream. Deep learning predictive fills. Even linguistic pattern matching. Nothing works. The 12th frame remains an enigma. As if the creators of this signal knew exactly where our limits were and placed their final message just beyond reach. Not to deny us, but to dare us. To challenge us to evolve. When researchers mapped the geometric patterns found in the images, a chilling discovery emerged. The structures radiated from specific latitudes on Saturn's surface, regions where prior data had always been unstable. These weren't natural disturbances. These were camouflage. Designed to obscure. Not to hide from everyone, but to hide from us, until we were ready. Until we had the intelligence and technology to pierce the veil. The implications are staggering. If this message is real, and the patterns suggest intention far beyond random chance, then Cassini didn't just explore Saturn. It was guided to observe a particular part of it. A region of space under observation by something else. Something that doesn't want to be known, but wants to be understood. Something that has been watching silently, carefully, waiting for us to become advanced enough to notice. The silence surrounding this discovery has been deafening. The lab that discovered the patterns, a private research group specializing in post-mission data enhancement, has since gone dark. Public statements ceased. Requests for interviews denied. Internal leaks suggest government entities became involved, quietly demanding access to the quantum AI and its results. But whispers still escape, rumors of even deeper patterns hidden in the 12th frame, of binary streams that, when translated, spell words not in human language, but in structured symbolic logic. The entire episode has raised profound questions. What did Cassini truly witness in those final seconds? Was its dive into Saturn part of the plan all along? Not to destroy the probe, but to deliver it close enough to something veiled within the gas giant's atmosphere. And if this intelligence, whatever it is, knew we would one day uncover the message, what else does it know? How long has it been watching? Speculation runs wild. Some theorize the signal isn't from an alien civilization at all, but from something far older, possibly non-biological. A construct. A sentient machine embedded in Saturn's electromagnetic environment, using the planet's chaotic fields as both cloak and carrier wave. Others believe it's a beacon, a kind of checkpoint meant for civilizations that reach a certain level of observational capacity. A milestone trigger. A test. And in all of this, the missing 12th frame looms like a shadow at the edge of understanding. Untouchable. Unreadable. But present. Some believe it contains coordinates. Others think it holds instructions. A few, whispering in online forums and redacted documents, suggest it holds an image not of Saturn, but of us. There was something unsettling about the way the data had stopped, not like a signal cut by distance or interference, but like something had chosen to end the message. A curtain lowered just as the truth stepped into view. What was it hiding? Why would anyone, or anything, go to such lengths to encrypt the final frame of Cassini's transmission? Not corrupted. Not damaged. Locked. And that lock wasn't crafted by human hands. Researchers analyzing the raw data noticed an encryption structure far too complex, layered in a format no Earth-based cryptographic protocol had ever used. A form of data compression and security that didn't match any known algorithm. It was as if Cassini had recorded something forbidden, something we weren't meant to see, not yet. The AI tasked with decoding the patterns had hit a wall. The program, originally designed to enhance visual telemetry, began producing symbols. Not just patterns or noise, symbols. Some geometrically perfect, others organic and irregular, but all recurring in ways that defied probability. The 12th frame had become a sort of holy grail, spoken about in hushed tones on encrypted servers, its contents referred to simply as the eye. Meanwhile, other researchers began to see connections, not just between Cassini's data and Saturn, but between Saturn's entire planetary system and ancient symbology found here on Earth. Titan, Enceladus, Dione, moons long thought to be mere celestial companions, showed alignments that mirrored formations in Earth's oldest sacred sites. The pyramids of Giza. The Nazca lines. The spirals carved into stone by civilizations long vanished. Coincidence? Or was the same intelligence responsible for both? A new term began to surface among independent data scientists and astrophysicists working in secret, the Saturn Code. A hypothetical system of interplanetary geometry that tied deep space structures to ancient Earth knowledge. The ratios, the alignments, the recurring spirals and symbols, they weren't random. They were deliberate. Mathematical fingerprints of something that had touched both worlds, perhaps separated by time, or maybe by choice. Then came the leaks. An anonymous whistleblower released internal documents from a major space agency. Among them were suppressed email threads, flagged images, and an audio log in which a panicked technician described a series of AI-generated frames that were immediately classified. One of them showed a triangle. But not just any triangle, a perfect equilateral with internal notches that matched no known language but had rhythm. In another, a faint Morse-like pulse pattern flickered across Saturn's southern hemisphere. It wasn't random. It was a sequence. Those involved in the initial AI testing were silenced. Some reassigned, others made to sign non-disclosure agreements so airtight they couldn't even speak to their families. Why the secrecy? What were they protecting? Or, what were they protecting us from? The public was told the mission ended as expected. That Cassini burned up in Saturn's atmosphere, its sensors fried, its memory banks disintegrated. But data packets, some partially intact, continued to surface in strange places. BitTorrent networks. Obscure FTP servers. Hidden directories with strange names and timestamps. As if someone, somewhere, was trying to make sure the message didn't vanish. Among academic circles, a line was drawn. On one side, those who claimed all of this was just noise, artifacts of advanced AI misinterpreting meaningless data. They cited pareidolia, the human tendency to see faces in clouds or patterns in randomness. Nothing more than our brains desperately trying to find order in the cosmic chaos. But the other side, the side filled with cryptographers, data scientists, and even linguists, saw something else. Order. Repetition. Intent. Some of the ratios were found across images taken years apart. Different positions, different times, but the same angles, the same geometry. These weren't static symbols. They evolved. They responded. It was as if the signal was alive. That 12th frame became more than just an image. It became a symbol of the forbidden, of knowledge withheld, not lost. Researchers began to speculate, maybe it's not meant to be unlocked by code at all. Maybe the key isn't digital. Maybe it's time. One theory proposed that the image wouldn't be viewable until a specific celestial alignment occurred. That the data was embedded with a condition, like a puzzle piece that only fits when the universe itself turns to the right configuration. Another hypothesis involved solar radiation, suggesting a certain spike or flux might activate the encrypted sequence. But the most haunting idea was that the key was human understanding itself. That only when our species reached a specific level of cognitive evolution, or made a certain discovery, would the image make sense. A failsafe not for the image, but for us. Now the mystery spreads like wildfire across private forums. Code repositories light up with lines of decrypted fragments. Some claim to have glimpsed through the curtain, describing impossible architecture suspended in a black void, or a spiral corridor lined with glyphs no living culture has ever used. A few go further, saying the checksum values embedded in the data don't match any known compression format. It's not a corrupted file. It's an intentionally gated one. And that means it was built to be opened, but only when the time was right. What event triggers it? Who designed the gate? Was it left by another intelligence? Or a future version of ourselves? One rogue developer even suggested that the signal was less of a message and more of a test. Like a challenge thrown across time and space. A beacon not sent to us, but left for us to earn. And yet, despite the mystery, despite the countless questions, one thing is becoming clearer with every frame examined: Cassini wasn't just capturing data. It was being watched. In retrospect, Cassini's silence feels too scripted. Too precise. The data stream ended mid-pattern, not mid-sequence. Like a hand reaching out, then pulling back just before the moment of contact. It's almost poetic, the idea that something greater was out there, observing our observer. Measuring how we responded to its presence. And if that's true, if we're not alone in this narrative, then maybe Cassini wasn't just an explorer. Maybe it was bait. A decoy meant to provoke, to see if we were listening. And now, we are. The object, whatever it is, that seems to have left its mark on Cassini's memory may still be there. Orbiting silently. Waiting. And the message it delivered through geometry, encryption, and obfuscation may not have been meant for Earth alone, but for anyone capable of understanding it. Saturn has always been strange. From its impossible hexagon to its mysterious ring composition. But what if it wasn't just a planet? What if it was a monument? A marker? A kind of cosmic terminal waiting for the next arrival? Cassini's final image might not be an image at all, but a key. A moment, frozen in digital amber, encoded with more than light and shadow. Encoded with intention. The intention of a mind, human or otherwise, reaching across the silence to speak. And now, after years of waiting, of processing, of doubt, we're closer than ever to understanding what it said. Maybe the question was never, what did Cassini see, but, what saw Cassini? The silence is over. The signal has been heard. And the countdown to revelation has already begun. You are no longer just a viewer. You are now part of the decoding.